Historic locomotives at Crewe. By the late 1950s, it became clear that great efforts were required if Britain was not to lose its great locomotive engineering heritage. With this in mind, a list was drawn up of the most important examples destined for preservation. The railway roundabout team were on the spot at Crewe as 4 of those locomotives, including number 790 Hardwick, lined up for the cameras.
An immaculate city of Stoke-on-Trent, the penultimate Stania Pacific, is seen at Crewe during a special filming session to record the handing over of a number of restored locomotives which were to form part of the National Collection. At this time of rapid change, some wise souls had realised that much of our railway heritage would go to the scrapyards if no concerted effort was made to preserve them. To this end, an official list was drawn up as to which locomotives should be claimed by the nation from British Railways. This was the genesis of the National Collection, which today forms the backbone of the collection at the National Railway Museum, York. One objective was to preserve an example of the locomotives of each of the major railways, although it was recognised that many truly historic machines had already gone. However, some locomotives, such as the Staffordshire Class L 062 tank, had been sold out of service and survived in the industrial sector, and were thus brought back into the system. Since the Nottie was based at Stoke, this was an appropriate choice of Pacific. The engine was, of course, a product of Crewe Works, whose own small collection of LNWR relics was also on display. Notably this web precedent, number 790 Hardwick. This is the only preserved example of the massive London and North Western express steam locomotive fleet, as all the rest had been scrapped before anyone realised that such major historic artefacts had gone beyond reach. This was a major factor in the creation of the National Collection list. Its companion was the somewhat unrepresentative Singleton, Cornwall, which had survived as an engineers department loco long after its contemporaries had been melted down. It makes an interesting exhibit as an example of the Victorian large-wheeled single-driver genre, but it was very different in its original form, when it boasted a boiler slung below the driving axle. The 3 historic locomotives were lined up for the cameras outside Crewe Works, with the Stania Pacific at the rear. The North Staff's engine had been repainted in this livery for an exhibition in Stoke and was about to return to industrial use until its retirement in 1966. The Pacific would go back into service and later be scrapped. Even the Stania Class 8F allocated to shunt locomotives was bulled up for the occasion. Cornwall can be seen today in Crewe at the Heritage Centre. Hardwick, after a spell of active work in the 70s and 80s, is displayed at the NRM, and the Nottie tank went to Shugborough Hall in Staffordshire, out of sight of the public until 1998,